Hi, this is Mark from WP Mayor. In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Layers WordPress theme from Obox Themes. Now, Layers is a WordPress site builder with the aim of making it as easy and painless as possible to design your WordPress site. There are various other site builders out there that make it easy or easier for you to build your WordPress site. However, the way Layers integrates with WordPress and the easy-to-use interface it has make it an absolute breeze to get used to. As the folks at Envato put it, in simplest terms, Layers is a WordPress theme framework that extends the core functionality of WordPress by introducing layout building and management rights within the WordPress theme customizer. It offers an extensive set of options, widgets, and templates to help you get started within minutes. Layers also integrates fully with WooCommerce, and if you don't want to start a new site from scratch, there are a number of preset layouts that can give you a head start. In this post, in fact, I'll be reviewing Layers with one of these layouts called Weather, which is an ideal layout to showcase a new or an existing app. Installing the Layers framework is the same as installing a brand new theme. So you're going to go to Add New, upload the theme, and choose the file, which is Layers WP. You'd open and install it. From here, you're now able to use Layers as a blank page. But since we're going to be using one of the presets, we're going to go and add that preset layout, which is Weather Theme. Now, as soon as you install Layers and or one of its layouts, you get this Get Started area. We're going to follow it from here. So you get a welcome screen where you can get started, and you'll get videos showing you an explanation showing you how to do each process. You've got the building pages, then you can name your website, shows you how to edit the widget content, how you set the tagline for your site, how to customize the particular widgets. You can choose to add your logo now, or you can add it later, and then you can choose the layout that you want. Now, there are already a few page sliders over there, or you can choose a blank page to start from scratch, but we're going to be using the Weather layout. So as soon as you choose the layout, you're taken to the theme customizer where you can start making the changes of your choice. As you can see, you get a pretty good layout right out the box, so there isn't many major changes you need to do. However, you can modify it to your own needs. So let's start with the site settings. Here you can set your logo, title, and tagline. So we can add a logo. We'll add the Obox Themes logo. That will be set, in this case, at the top of our site. Now we'll see how we can change that. You can choose the colors for your site. So we can change our header color. Let's go on to a greenish look this time. Actually, make it a reddish one. Then you've got your site accent color. Should be for something like your buttons. As well as your footer color. Make it a darker red. Moving on, we've got our navigation. Now here you can choose where and to put which menu. So I have various locations. You have the top left menu. So you can see it will appear on the top left of your site. You have a top right, which is the same thing on the other side. You have your header menu, which is the one we've already set up. You can see it's right there beneath the header. A right header menu, we'll see why we'll use that later, as well as a footer menu. Our footer menu appears in the bottom right hand corner. Moving on to the sidebars, here you have the options to display a left or right sidebar on a single post page or on a post list page. And then you got the choice of changing the fonts, either by using a typekit ID, or you can change the font of the body, of the headings, and of the buttons, or separately. Let's save and publish and move on to the next settings. Now before we get to actually editing the layout, let's keep going with these settings and we can change the header. So here now you've got the layout. You can choose either a boxed or a full width width. You can choose the logo menu and position. So you can put the logo on the left, you can put the logo on the right, center top as it was, can put the logo top or the logo center. Now this is where the menu on the left and menu on the right of the header comes into question. So you can have a left menu and then you have the right hand menu. You also have a choice between making the header position sticky and overlay. We'll leave it with an overlay because I personally prefer that look. And then you can even add additional scripts. You can move on to the footer. Here we have similar settings. So you can choose the layout between boxed and full width. You can set the widget areas. Now these I've set previously when using it before. So we can see how to change those later. You can set 1, 2, 3 or 4 widget areas. You can also support layers by displaying the layers badge on your site, which appears in the bottom right hand corner. You can also add the text for your copyright. In this case, we added a review by WP Mayor, and then the additional scripts of your choice. Finally, I have the choice of your static front page, whether your latest post or a static page. We'll leave your latest post to use this page, and you can add any custom CSS that you'd like. So finally, let's move on to editing the layout. First up, we've got the home page body. So this is basically all the widget areas that you're seeing here. These are all singular widget areas. Let's start with the slider one currently present. So this would be the top part with the background image with introducing weather. Now currently there's only one slide, as you can see here, just a singular slide, and you can add new ones. So let's start with the current slide. You've got your title, your excerpt, as well as your button, and you can make it link to any URL of your choice. You have your background, where you can change the background image, and you can also add a background color, and whether it will be repeating or not. You can then set a featured image. Now this featured image, if we change it for example, you can see the change there. That will be a featured image. And you can also embed a video, which we'll see in the next slide. You then have the alignment, whether you put it aligned left, whether to align the image on the right, text on the left, or whether to have them above each other. Let's use the align left for the moment. And then you can change the text. You can change text alignment, so you have it centered, you have it right aligned, justified, or in this case we'll leave it left aligned. You can change the text size, small, medium, and large. You can see all the changes happening in the background. Instant changes, which I might add. And you can also change the text color. Now before we get to our next slide, I'd like to look at the settings on the right. So here you've got a choice of your layout between having it boxed, full width, or full screen. So full screen will display it on the entire screen, that first widget. Full width, we'll use the full width of the screen but not necessarily the full height. Whilst boxed, we'll box it in. So let's keep using full screen for our first widget. You then have the slider options between showing slider arrows, dots, the controls color. You can autoplay the slides, auto height the slides, and you can set the slider height for your choice. And the advanced settings to add custom classes, CSS, your own padding, margin, and widget anchor ID. So let's take a look at how these settings would look when you add a new slide. So as you can see now, you have your arrows appearing, your dots to switch between slides. And if we go in let's try and embedding a video rather than an image. So we'll take the introductory video of layers. So you embed the video URL. And if you go in, you can see that there's now a video embedded in your first widget. You can switch between the sliders. This is where, again, the settings for the slider come in, between choosing to show the slider arrows or not. The same thing for the slider dots. You can change slider controls color. So let's say we set them to red. So there you see the change to red. And you can set to autoplay and hide. Let's save that first widget and move on to our first content widget. This first content widget is the one right here. We have the various weather types. And you have each one is taking up a particular amount of columns. So layers uses a 12 column layout. And as you can see from here, you can choose the column width. In this case, it's using 2 of 12 columns for each one, so you can have 6 separate items. So we've got our title, our excerpt, again our button link and button text. Those are optional. You can then set the background. In this case, they have no background, but we can set an image or a color. So to give you an idea, we'll set a dark gray color. So if we go to our first 2 columns, we will see suddenly it has a dark gray color. Let's remove that for the time being. Moving on, you can change the featured image that you will be showing, or you can embed a video URL. Then you've got the alignment left, right, or center align. So you can see the difference there. You got a left align image, text on the right. Change that back to center align. Then you can make the same text setting changes and the column width we shown earlier. So this can be done for each and every single column. We've then got the settings similar to the previous widget area. So you've got a boxed or full width option. You can see the change there, it goes to the full width of the page. We'll leave that as boxed. You can change your list style between grid, masonry, and having a gutter or not. You can change your text in general, set a background for the whole thing. So you can choose to set, for example, a background image. So we'll choose that image, use that, and you can see we'll have an image in the background. We'll change it back to the color, so we'll remove the image, leave it as gray. You can choose to have it repeat. You can choose the position, whether it's center, top, bottom, left, or right, and whether to stretch it or darken it. And last but not least, you have the advanced settings, again, where you can do the same thing, adding custom classes, CSS, your own padding, margin, and widget anchor ID. This is especially useful when you use the full width layout, so that you can add some padding of your choice or margin of your choice. So let's say you add some padding on the right, you'll move the items inward so that they won't be touching the edge of your screen. Moving on to our next content widget, this takes care of all 3 images you're seeing here, all the white background. That is one widget area. So basically what it's done is it's used the 12 column width for each column. This puts the 3 of them beneath each other. So taking a look at the first one, again, you can change the same settings as earlier. Set your background image, background color, set your featured image or embed a video URL, choose the alignments, and again the column widths. So in this case, since we have 3 columns under each other and there's no distinguishing feature between them, we can add a different background color to our second one so that it will differentiate slightly. We can put a light gray. So here you can see differentiating between the 2. Now you can see it's not the full width, so we can change that, make it look nicer, change our layout from boxed to full width, and suddenly it's taken up the whole page, with the whole width of the page rather. Again, you have the list style settings, your text settings, background, and same advanced settings. Then we have our last slider, which is similar to the top one. In this case, as you can see from our layout settings, it's using, again, the full width rather than the full screen. Sorry, it's not using full screen, it's using full width. So it uses the full width of the screen, however, it keeps the height that it has. You have the slider options again, and your advanced options. Again, this is just one with one slide, so we can add a new one. And you will see that you can switch between the two. In this case, they have the same content. Again, changing all the settings that you need. So we save and publish. Go back to our customizer. We can see the slide changes we've made so far. So we've added our second slide here, embedded a video. We've changed the header and the image and the menu options. We've looked at all the widgets and how you can change the various settings on each. And now it's time to move on to our footer. So as we saw earlier, we chose to have a 3-widget footer. In each one, you can add the widgets of your choice. Now in this case, I had already added a contact details and map widget. Now in this case, we have widgets from layers or the normal WordPress ones. From layers, we have the contact details and maps. You have your content, posts, and slider. You can see the layers logo on each one. So once again, you have similar settings. So for the contact details and map, you have your title, your subtitle, set your address. You then have your layout options between having it boxed or full width, your text options, display, how high the height of your map, whether to show the Google map, to show the address on the contact form, changing your background and your advanced settings. Our second widget, in this case, is a feed of our WP Mayor blog. So it's a normal widget that you find with WordPress. Just enter the URL and so on. And lastly, it's the same normal WordPress search function. The last thing we can edit in our edit layout section is the mobile sidebar. This is the sidebar that only appears on mobile devices. So in this case, these are the default widgets that were included. And again, you can change them to the ones of your choice, including the ones from layers. So as you can see, we have now changed slightly our website. We can change the content as we want, make it our own personalized website, obviously. So now let's look at the other settings for layers. So when using layers, you got your dashboard. Here you'll find links to the Get Started area, add a new page, layers pages, as well as getting the layers updater. You can search layers help directly from within your layers dashboard. You've also got some quick help links, the ability to contribute to layers. You can complete your site setup with the Google Analytics, and you can even view the layers pages that you have. You then have links to your themes, style kits, and extensions, which we should talk about later, and some latest layers news at the bottom. We'll have the Get Started section that we saw in the beginning, add a new page. Again, you choose the layout of your choice. A list of the layers pages that we have. Customize takes you directly to the theme customizer. And backup, this is your final page. Here you can back up your pages into regular WordPress pages. This will help you to preserve the content that you've worked so hard to create. So as I mentioned earlier, there are various child themes and layers, and extensions for layers that you can use, and all of these can be found exclusively on the Envato marketplace. In fact, they've created a layers marketplace specifically for everything having to do with layers. Here you have a list of various child themes that you can use for layers, including the weather one, which we are using at the moment. And you can also find the extensions that you need for layers. Finally, moving on to layers documentation and support. The documentation certainly isn't lacking. So much so that on their site you'll find various links to different levels of documentation as well as support. First up, you'll find a layers user guide that provides you with all the details you need to setting up and using layers, from the basic installation that we saw to backing up your content. There's also a troubleshooting section where you can find a number of common issues that you might come across, and also a how-to section for further instructions with regards to possible changes and enhancements that you would want to make. And last but not least, you'll also find the product guides. You'll find further tutorials and a support section that offers both premium support as well as a free public forum that you can follow as well as contribute to as needed. As for the pricing and costs, Layers, as I mentioned in the beginning, is absolutely free, so anyone can make use of it at no cost whatsoever. However, you can then pay for the various extensions and child themes that you might want to use. All of them are again available from the Envato marketplace. In conclusion, I have to say this is definitely one of the easiest WordPress themes or theme frameworks that I've used, and it's definitely the easiest one that any new WordPress user will be able to use. You need no previous knowledge of coding, no previous knowledge of really how to use a WordPress theme customizer, because everything is explained very thoroughly and it's so intuitive to use that you won't even need the documentation, to be honest. And it's definitely powerful enough to be able to achieve almost anything that you'll be looking to create. Now, Layers obviously isn't just for the beginner. Any developer out there can be able to use it, and they can implement any changes they want through child themes, and they can create absolutely anything they want and make it very easy for their clients if they want to be able to customize it themselves and make slight changes in the future as well. Being a free framework makes this extremely accessible to anyone out there using WordPress, and the child themes on offer in the Envato market are certainly up to standard and ready for use on any website possible. So if you're new to WordPress, or you're looking for a new challenge or a new product, something to excite you, Layers, go for it. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the review.